former state rep, now the man behind the M7 agency and that incredible Shell sports complex. Here is Jim Christiana. Good evening, Jim. How are you?
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me on. I'm great. Thank you.
Listen, I was talking to Mr. Kale the other night, and I said every time I drive home at night, especially on the weekends, that place that you have created along with Shell USA is packed. How does that make you feel?
Well, that was the whole point. I think we've all known for a while that Western Pennsylvania, Beaver County, but it's bigger than Beaver County. We produce thousands of athletes every single year, world-class athletes, Hall of Fame athletes. Yet this area around the Pittsburgh corridor just hasn't had the world-class facilities that our athletes and our families deserve. And so it's still a great site every single day. Right now, I'm actually here, and there's adult volleyball playing here, and there was a gymnastics meet over the weekend. So it really is a space for everyone.
It is. I love it. It's a shining light. It's a beacon of hope for sure. Now, we were talking about Shell USA, Houston, and of course the Shell petrochemical plant, two separate entities, but it's about what they do and this new administration. A lot of things are happening that I think are going to benefit the aspects of what they do and others. But the thing that really has been exciting is just to watch all of the movement. And that, of course, is what Elon Musk is doing, what the president is doing. And I've been telling my audience and fighting back people verbally who disagree with me that it will balance itself out. Essential stuff will find a way to get back on the right track, and there'll be more fiscal sanity as opposed to insanity. And I talked about this in my opening remarks tonight. Governor Shapiro says federal freeze and blockages of $2.1 billion for Pennsylvania have now been unfrozen for whatever reason. Why don't people understand when I say in the end we'll all get to a common ground and it will work itself out? But if it wasn't for these two and this administration, this stuff would have never happened, and it's long overdue. Something you talked about while in government, something that your colleague Josh Kale and I've talked about many times. And it just, look, it's a little painful, it's a little frightening, it's hard to connect all the dots, but in the end, it will balance out. The essential stuff will go where it needs to go, and we'll start saving money for this great country of ours, and that is a good thing. Jim.
It is. It's become such a political talking point to talk about waste, fraud, abuse. But that's really all the Trump administration has been going after since they got into office. They're going after the most egregious examples of waste, fraud, and abuse. That's just them keeping their promise. And I know that's so unusual. And those that benefit from the waste, the fraud, the abuse, or the opposition party is always going to try to take things out of context to capitalize on it. And nobody gives up even their waste, their fraud, their abuse easily. And so in my opinion, how do you fix it? It was something that I was focused on when I was in Harrisburg, and that's transparency. Just bring it to light. Let us see the facts. Let us see where the money is being spent. When we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of just waste, fraud, and abuse, and that's where I think these scare tactics that little old ladies and grandmas are going to lose their Social Security, or somebody's going to get fired from a job because they didn't, that they were doing a legitimate job. That's just scare tactics. So I think we could dismiss that, allow this administration to do exactly what they were elected to do, which was to overturn the years and years of the deep state bureaucracy and put the power back into the people and put some transparency in place.
And really, I think both parties are at fault. My question to you, how is it that this has been going on as long as it has? We have $1 trillion worth of debt, credit card debt in America. I mean, that alone is something that's staggering. But you think of where our debt now is at $37 trillion and how Mr. Musk and Doge could actually save in the end, not billions, but $1 trillion if this thing gets to proceed moving forward. And neither have an ulterior motive. They don't need the paycheck. They really just want to make it better. But the ulterior motive is if we can get back to a working class, middle class in America, cash flow, everything starts to roll in the right direction again, and we're not losing money, we're actually making money in America.
Without a doubt. And the other thing to think about this is that power doesn't evaporate, it shifts. And so when Washington reduces its stranglehold on our everyday life, that just flows the power and the responsibility to govern closer to home, which is always a good thing, right? I mean, we've added a government agency every single year for the last 100 years, right? And the federal government is so outrageous in its scope. And what that does is it takes away the responsibility to the elected officials that are closest to us and have the best chance at actually governing the way we want and being more responsive. So while Washington releases its stranglehold on us, that just allows Harrisburg and our county governments to operate more efficiently and, I think, long term with more resources that are closer to the people.
Here's a good example of how you have made it work. It's a private entity. You reach out to a major corporation, you build it, they come. Back in the day, basically what you did was always provided by government entities for people when I was a young man growing up in Beaver County. But if it wasn't for what you did at M7 with the partnership with Shell USA, a lot of generations to come wouldn't have the opportunity that they now have. So sometimes it's best just letting private business get it done. And that's one thing I think Mr. Trump and Mr. Musk are all about. And the government takes care of things like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. And as Elon said with Sean Hannity on Fox, he simply said, look, it's not about slashing any of that stuff, but if we don't get our ducks in a row, this stuff will disappear eventually. This is us trying to prevent the essential stuff from going away.
Without a doubt. And I want to be honest, too. This partnership that made this dream come true in this, multi-sport complex here that has more than, 10,000 people a week coming through it. It was also a partnership with local elected officials. This would not have happened without Rob Matsey and Senator Vogel, whose district it resides in. So, it really was Shell and our state legislators. Unfortunately, the county government decided not to help build a facility like this. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day because our state legislators stepped up. And, Senator Vogel, there's a banner here thanking them. It's no secret that they helped get this place across the finish line as well.
Yeah, Mr. Matsey, a Democrat, Mr. Elder Vogel, a Republican. So bipartisan politics does work. Thank you for your time tonight. I couldn't be more proud of what you have accomplished. And so I have to ask, now that you're a professional NFL agent, do you look at the combines a little differently now?
I will, because I'll be there this week. So it's my first venture to the combine. So I'm excited for the end of the week here.
Well, my broadcast partner, Mr. Dioulis, who happens to be an NFL agent, is there, and he handles incredibly talented people like Travis Kelce. So if you would like his number to maybe hook up with him while you're out there, from one friend to another, you know how to get a hold of me.
You got. Thanks for always being willing to help.
Always. There he goes, the great Jim Christiana. You ought to see this place. Build it and they will come. It's incredible.